Welcome to my corner of the internet. I'm the house hacker, and today I want to talk to you about benefits. So I saw a Joshua Fluke video the other day, and I kind of enjoy his videos. I don't agree with everything he has to say, but he always says something interesting that's worth to note. And this video where he kind of ranted about vacation in the United States compared to other countries. And I want to start off by sharing a story that I had on this issue, as well as my thoughts on it. And then I want to kind of commentate on some of the issues that he brought up in his video. I don't want to review the whole video, react to the whole video. I just want to react to specific aspects I'm going to kind of post after this. So, when I was in Afghanistan the second time, I went with a company, which is so when you contract with the government, you have the prime company, and then you have subcontractors that work for the prime. And I worked directly for the prime. And so the prime's policy was that there are no benefits. There is no healthcare. There's the critical healthcare that you get when you're downrange, but there's no healthcare outside of that. There also is no vacation time or any other benefits. Any benefits that you could possibly imagine a company would offer, we had zero. But what we did have was pay. And by the time I left, I was making over 180. Now, if you compare that to the subcontractors who were then getting paid, who were giving their employees benefits, all the benefits that you would imagine a normal job would have, you would see them pay people between $80,000 a year to $130,000. I don't think I've ever seen a single person get paid more than $130,000. That was like the highest paid person was making about that. Keep in mind that the lowest paid person on the prime was getting paid like $166,000. And the highest paid person on the subcontractors was getting paid like $130,000. And you know what's really crazy about this whole thing? The guy who was making $130,000 had like 10 years of experience more than me. He was being brought in as a highly skilled individual, much more skilled than myself. Yet, I came in making over $30,000 more than him, and I left making over $50,000 more than him. And that just, those are the choices you've got to make. I mean, if you've got to shift the dynamic of how you're looking at this and say, do I want today's compensation in favor switched out for tomorrow's promise? And I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that's a good idea at all. I think today's compensation is much better than tomorrow's promise. And so those are my thoughts on that. And let's just go ahead and dive into this video. And I want to kind of talk about what I think of it, and I want to focus on the things that I disagree with, because there's a lot in here that I do agree with, and I don't want to waste too much time on it because Josh covers it pretty well on his own. But I like his videos. That's why we're looking at this. I wouldn't be watching these videos if I didn't like them. So yeah, let's get right into it.
Now, what's really interesting here is that 77% of companies in the United States offer vacation, which, if you think about it, means that there are 33% of the companies in the United States not offering any time off. Like you're zero time off. And there are probably some arguments that you could see from people going like, well, if this dude only works, part-time, a day a week for me, why is he entitled to me paying him for 20 days vacation just because he works for me? And that's like the mentality that we have here. Like, time off, what is that? Get back to work, peasant. So full-time employees can earn on average 10 vacation days after 1 year of service, and 14 days after 5 years of service, 17 days after 10 years of service, and 20 days after 20 years of service. So if we break that down mathematically, you can see that is 5.47945.
Okay, so just to comment on what we saw there, I am not disagreeing that it's pretty messed up when companies take advantage of their employees. Absolutely, that is a major problem. But those are just averages. There are people who get treated better, there are people who get treated worse, and it's about negotiating the best package for yourself. And sometimes that package does not mean any vacation time at all. In fact, I'm a big fan of zero vacation time, as I mentioned earlier. So let's continue.
Now, I have to say that I have lived in the United States and I have lived in Finland, both of which are very, very, very different places. Most people in the U.S. would say that Finland is a socialist country. It's a democratic socialist country, and they don't like that. At least people in the U.S. they don't like that socialism or anything like that. And then I've lived in the United States, and which is obviously a very capitalist country.
We're kind of navigating away from the whole capitalist thing. In America, we're starting to trend towards cronyism, which is when companies have institutional advantages being given to them. And you can see that right now with the additional regulations that are being applied on companies that are making it difficult for new companies to emerge. But old companies that already have like the infrastructure, it's easy adjustments for them versus new companies having to make those adjustments. Regulation is the enemy of innovation. That being said, I'm not saying that zero regulation out there is the right way. More so, reduced regulation with mandatory transparency across the board would probably be a better way of going about things. That way, people are not limited in being able to pursue their own ventures.
Some of this makes sense, some of this doesn't make sense, but you don't find a whole lot of balance or people being moderate these days. But having seen both sides, it's been insightful for me. But for you guys who haven't seen both sides, for you guys out there that are college students getting ready to jump into the corporate world here in the U.S., say goodbye to spring break, say goodbye to winter break, say goodbye to summers, because you'll be working a year before you even get 10 days off. That's how it normally goes here in the United States.
Okay. No, maybe for Josh. So Josh has been burned pretty bad in his career through some very bad companies. My first job, I believe I had 15 days of vacation plus 10 federal holidays. So that really came out to about 25. And honestly, like that's the benefit package that I've seen in my industry. I've never heard of you get zero vacation time in the first year. I mean, I've heard rumors of it happening. I've never actually seen it or met someone in person that actually had this happen to them. But I do hear about it online. So I would hardly call this a norm. Maybe it's something that if you work with startup software companies, you're more likely to see that happen. Again, all the companies I've worked for have never had that issue happen. But I did have the one company that gave me zero vacation time. I was totally okay with that.
I choose to live here. I don't have any mandated vacation days. I'm self-employed. I post on YouTube for a living, right? So if I work more, hopefully I make more, and then I can balance that with taking some time off, which I then will lose money most likely. And then if I feel comfortable with that, then I'll do that and I'll take some time off. But like for people that aren't in control of their day or their income like that, if you're working a regular salary job, you don't have that kind of choice. You're just stuck with whatever the company is offering you.
That right there is why I'm not a super big fan of PTO, paid time off. At the end of the day, the company gets to decide whether or not you're taking that time off. So you're much better off just asking for higher pay and no paid time off. Just calculate that into your final pay and then request the days off whenever, and it's just unpaid leave. And then you get to make the decision of, is that the amount of days that I want to take off or not? And some years I've taken off over a month, and some years I've taken off like 5 days. And it just, every year is a little bit different. And if it's unpaid leave, then you don't feel that pressure of, oh, I'm out of PTO. No big deal. If it's all unpaid leave, it's all unpaid leave. As long as it guarantees it's going to roll into your paycheck, nothing wrong with that. You can calculate it. Just take your hourly wage or your salary, divide it up over that paid time off period, and figure out how much your pay would be if that would translate directly into pay, and just add that right back on.
It just doesn't exist, and this is probably pretty surprising. You don't get sick days, you don't get vacation, you don't get bereavement. There's none of that. The only thing that's federally mandated is FMLA, which is Federal Medical Leave of Absence, which isn't paid vacation. It's just getting permission from your company to take time off to be sick while you're not paid for that time off. So here in the U.S., if you get sick and you have to leave, they're not paying you for that. And FMLA just prevents you from being fired for being sick, which they can still kind of go around by finding other reasons to fire you. But here in the U.S., you have to ask for permission to not come into work, to not be paid, and also have a job when you're not sick anymore and come back.
I don't mean to nitpick here, but there are other types of leave. For example, military leave. But he's right. You do have to ask for permission, and again, that's why I prefer the no vacation time and just get unpaid leave.
Now, the real meme here is that the reason companies offer unlimited paid time off is because they don't have to pay you out for vacation if you quit the company. So companies that offer you 10 days vacation and you have banked that 10 days vacation, you usually get paid out for those 10 days as if it was like an extra paycheck or something when you leave. Now, if you don't have anything banked up because it's unlimited, we don't accrue here, then they don't have to pay you out. And that makes things a lot cheaper for companies. So again, the only way unlimited paid time off works is if you have a minimum amount that people are required to take. Like it's unlimited, but you still have to take 2 weeks off every year. Like they're forcing you minimum to take 2 weeks. And then after that, it's still unlimited and you can take the time as you need it.
Yeah, you see, this is the issue that we keep circling back on. The problem with unlimited PTO is the same problem with PTO, which is the same problem about having designated. Ultimately, here's the issue. If the company says you get 10 days PTO, when you start asking for unpaid leave, then they have a problem, okay? If they just baked your paid time off right into your paycheck and just said whatever time off you want is going to have to be unpaid leave. If you just did that, then there would be no shame. You would be able to take whatever time you can take off within whatever is okay for your team, which ultimately is the same as if you had PTO. So there's no difference there. It's just you get to take the number of days that you need off personally. And if you want to slave away at the machine and, grind the hours out, you can do that. And you could do that for more money. And if you want to take time off to go and relax, you can do that as well. And that way, your compensation is entirely correlated with the amount of hours you're putting in rather than sitting here having this equalizer that is just throwing things off. Because I guarantee you there are people who lose vacation time. I know people who've had vacation time and lost it just because they didn't use it. It's absolutely insane. If those individuals could have just had that translate into pay, they would have been much better off. But that's the problem. We're so fixated on needing benefits. Focus less on benefits, focus more on the overall package. And your pay is part of the overall package. If you can roll all of those benefits, your insurance, your vacation, your whatever else that they're offering you, I had one company offer a couple $100 if you went to the gym a certain amount of times. Yeah, roll all of that into pay. You're much, much better off than having to play this game. It's just not worth it. It's just such a headache. I don't understand it. I know it's tempting. It's not worth it. It really isn't.
Now, some companies not in the U.S. offer a sabbatical. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's basically if you work at a company for like 5 or 10 years, they give you an entire year off at like 65% of your salary to take that time off, to do what you need to do and figure out your life and just recoup and be who you are again. I don't know. Whatever you do with sabbaticals, they offer that. Now, here in the U.S., that's almost unheard of, right? When I was in Finland, I knew someone who was on a sabbatical. He's like, yeah, I just worked there for 10 years, so they gave me a 2-year sabbatical, which means he's just getting paid 65% of his salary for 2 years to do whatever he wants. And for people, again, here in the U.S., that's unheard of. Like, you'd be lucky to be able to get a pension here in the United States anymore. And
wow, that seems really appealing, and I totally get it. But here's the issue. Does that make a whole lot of sense on paper? I mean, sure, the idea sounds great, but doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I'm currently, I kind of alluded to this and mentioned this, but I'm currently taking time off, and we don't have these sabbaticals. I'm not on a sabbatical. I gave myself a sabbatical. Said I'm going to take time off, and my period of taking time off is indefinite. And I will get back to working when I feel like getting back to working. And there's no one saying that, oh, you may have 1 year off. You just need to calculate that in to the pay that you're getting paid. Make sure that you're getting the amount that you are entitled to, and make sure that you're negotiating all of these factors into it. Now, you're not going into the interview or the job negotiation, negotiating, okay, well, I'm going to need you guys to pay for my commute, and I'm going to need you guys to pay for my vacation time and sabbatical. That's not how you approach it. You just got to calculate the number in your mind of what you think is an acceptable number and include these variables into it. And then that's what you go in there negotiating, saying, I think I deserve this much compensation. Explaining why you deserve it is a totally, like trying to explain to them the calculation behind it is not part of the discussion, is not relevant. What's relevant is you explaining the skills that you're bringing to the table and your problem solving abilities that justify that pay. But how you arrive at that number, that's not their business. But you got to calculate all this in. So let's go ahead and calculate this together, right? So let's say that you make $100,000 a year, $100,000 a year for 5 years. It would come out to $500,000. Now, if you were to get an extra year at 60%, that would be $60,000. So you could say that I want to take every 5 years, I want to take a 1 year sabbatical break at 60% pay. Or you could say, just give me $12,000 more every year. And at the end of the day, it balances out. And quite frankly, you're better off doing it because those $12,000 will be in your hands faster, which means you can invest it sooner, which means that you can make more money off of it due to compounding interest. You are better off just calculating that into your pay and then managing your money a whole lot better. Way better off. If you can't responsibly manage your own money, then the company holding your hand is probably a better option. But the consequence is you get a much worse solution. You're much better off trying to understand the numbers, crunching them, and then coming to your own conclusions.
Pensions, even then, they're kind of a meme. They can promise you a pension. If you work here for 20 years, you get X amount of money for the rest of your life, but they can fire you at any time because in the U.S., there is no notice period required. They can fire you at any time, and you can quit at any time. So you get to 19 years when you're about to get that pension. Hey, you're fired. Sorry, no pension. You almost made it to 20 years, though. A lot of companies do this. Happened to people in my family that I personally know. It's like my dad was almost about to get pension. He was like 25 years. He was there for like 23, 24 years. Just about to get pension. Sorry, bro.
This is part of the whole problem of these benefits, right? You're accepting a future promise in exchange for today's compensation. You either load the future promise into the pay, or you're stuck having to deal with these future promises that may or may not be fulfilled. I mean, for example, like a lot of us that are my age, we know that we're not getting Social Security. All right, and if you do actually think you're getting Social Security and a reasonable amount of Social Security, then you're delusional. But the reality is, that's a future promise, and it's a future promise that likely will not happen. What is today is the number that you're getting in your paycheck. That is facts for today. The amount of what you're going to be given in the future, like, stop negotiating that. It's not beneficial for anybody. And I'm honestly glad the whole pension system is gone because because of things like this that just people taking advantage of other people. You have to dedicate 19 years of your life to find out if they're going to let you work that last year to get your pension. Like, what? That's absolutely insane. 19 years of sacrifice so they can make a 1-minute decision to throw it all away. A decision that you have no control over. It's a terrible, it's a horrible system. Horrible system. So these are my thoughts on benefits and how you should approach them. I don't think you should be trading today's compensation for tomorrow's promise. And I think that you should look at your benefits package from this wholesome perspective where you look at everything, not just the vacation days and the pay, but just try and quantify everything into a number and then make that one number the defining variable for everything. And use that to help negotiate your way to the wage that you want. So, thank you for watching. Let me know what you guys think about these types of videos in the comment section below. It's my first reaction. I kind of did a little bit different than how most people do reactions. I'd like to hear your feedback on it. And like and subscribe if you liked it. Share the video and let other people know about it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.